All right, so I mentioned in a previous tutorial that there was a place online where you can get information about street tree species from the City of Vancouver. That's in the Open Data Portal. So if you just go to this link here, you can look up data sets. And what I'm going to look for is street trees. And right away you can see up here there is a handy data set called street trees. So I'm going to click in there. And it'll give you a bit of a description about what's going on, but basically this is all of the public trees on boulevards. So it does not include trees in people's front and backyards unless they're specifically noted as public trees. So this would include street trees that are located on the boulevard next to the road. And that can be helpful as you're cutting sections and looking around your sites to create transverse information. So I'm going to go to the map and I'm just going to zoom in to the site that I was using as my sample site, which is Riley Park. And I'll zoom out a little bit here. And you can see that all of these markers indicate numbers of trees. So if I go even closer, they show up as little data points. And if I click on one of these, it gives me a whole bunch of information. It says what type of tree it is. It has a specific ID number, tells you what street it's on, the genus and the species, which are really helpful as you're beginning to learn to identify plants. Most importantly, this tells me a height range ID. What does that mean? What does this 4 mean? Whenever you want to get more information about the data sets that you're looking at, you can go over to the information tablet over here. And if you scroll down at the bottom, it says dataset schema, and this will tell you what each of those identifiers refers to. So if I scroll down and I look for the height range ID, it tells me that this represents, so it's listed at 0 to 10 for every 10 feet. So 0 represents a tree that is 0 to 10 feet tall. 1 represents a tree that is 10 to 20 feet tall, and etc. So if we have a tree in our data set with a height range ID of 4, that means that tree's height is between 40 and 50 feet. So that's really useful to know, because then we can get an idea about the maturity of the trees on our site. So for example, if I was cutting a transverse section through this site and I wanted to represent the trees from the streetscape, if let's say I'm cutting a section right through the middle here and I'm looking at the site in this direction facing south, I could scroll in to wherever I've cut my section, and I could look for trees that will show up in my section line or very close to my section line. So that might be, for example, these 2 trees here. So now I can take a look and see what type of tree this is, what the genus and species name is, and also how tall the tree is based on its height range. So this one with an ID of 1 would be between 10 to 20 feet tall. And if I go over here for this one, it is a different type of tree. It's a pear tree, and its height range is also 1, so between 10 to 20 feet tall. And then I could go over to the other side of my section and look to see what trees would show up in the background of my section cut line, so that I can be a little bit more intentional and accurate with what types of trees I'm representing.